Elon Musk is defending himself on Twitter, kind of out of nowhere. Now, these tweets come in different orders, but the main thing was him pointing out how he is not anti-Semitic. Keep that in mind as we go to this first thing that Elon Musk X'd out, posted, tweeted, who knows? He says, based on what we've learned, what we've heard from advertisers, ADL seems to be responsible for most of our revenue loss. Giving them maximum benefit of the doubt, I don't see any scenario where they're responsible for less than 10% of value destruction. So about $4 billion. Document discovery of all communications between the ADL and advertisers will tell the full story. Elon Musk is upset because their advertisers are down and he's blaming someone else. Of course, it's the Jewish folks. Still, he continued on. Advertisers avoid controversy. So all that's needed for ADL to crush our US and European ad revenue is to make unfounded accusations. They have much less power than in Asia. So our ad revenue there is still strong. This controversy causes advertisers to pause, but that pause is permanent until ADL gives them the green light, which they will not do without us agreeing to secretly suspend or shadow ban any account they don't like. Which accounts are those? He continues, that is the relationship they've had with X and Twitter for many years. Presumably, they have that with all Western search or social media organizations. And this was the tweet that sparked this whole thing and made people go, what? He said, to clear our platform's name on the matter of anti-Semitism, it looks like we have no choice but to file a defamation lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League. Oh, the irony. And lastly, to be super clear, I'm pro-free speech, but against anti-Semitism of any kind. Why do you have to clarify that? By the way, those all those accounts that he said they want them to shut down, and this reason why they're losing this ad revenue is because the ADL is telling them. But what are those accounts, bro? You're not being very clear about this whole thing. We'll get to some of those accounts in a second, but first, is this clear his name, Shuster, you think?
I think this makes them even more of an anti-Semite. You go after the Anti-Defamation League, whose job is to track and monitor racist, white national, Nazi sympathizing groups across the country who are doing nothing but spewing hate. There once was a time where Twitter, like a lot of other platforms, would not allow this kind of anti-Semitic, racist nonsense on their platform. And then Elon Musk came along and bought Twitter and opened the floodgates and said, no, everybody's welcome back. And of course, the Anti-Defamation League is not gonna like that. Any human being would not like what Twitter has become. And so the ADL does its job. And just as they would do if it was NBC or Fox News or Newsmax or whatever else, if somebody's giving a platform to hate, to racism, to xenophobia, to Nazism, of course the ADL should I would want to contact the advertisers and say, don't give money to that platform. So that's what the ADL has done. But Elon Musk refuses to take responsibility for his own actions. He refuses to acknowledge that him opening the floodgates to these hate mongers is what has caused the advertisers to get skittish and nervous about Twitter. Instead, somehow it's the ADL's fault. That's a bunch of bunk.
Well, let's go to graphic 5 here. Is it 6? Graphic 5 here, I think it is one, you guys. The analysis about the hate speech that's happening on Twitter, X, after Elon got a hold of it. If you look right there in the middle where that red line is, that's the point when Musk bought Twitter, and those sharp jumps is the average proportion of hate speech that goes along on that app as well. Now, and which of course he openly accepted and said, it's just free speech, bro. If you can't take it, go somewhere else. And then when the advertisers went someplace else, he goes, what are you guys doing? I thought this is like in free speech and you guys could do whatever you say I want you to do. Still more, a little bit more anti-Semitic content reported to Twitter by the ADL. This is where he's upset. December of 2022, actioned about 18 to a 21.95% here, and it rose there of non-actioned things that went on Twitter. As you can see, the dark blue portions are what non-action things happened when it was reported to Twitter by the ADL of the things that were happening. So even in getting that proof, it was they're just coming after us. A little bit more though, because I want to point out how these advertisers actually did, at least in these a couple of cases, actually did find themselves detaching from Twitter. Because he alienated advertisers earlier, as you know, he was firing a whole bunch of people. It wasn't just tech guys. He also fired key sales executives. Elon Musk fired key sales executives. And then when they lose revenue with ad sales, he goes, who could have seen it coming? It's like firing your driver, and then when your car runs into the wall, you go, I don't know why this happened. Someone should have been behind the wheel. Still, he was spreading these conspiracy theories on the site, or allowing other folks to, and he also welcomed back a bunch of those Twitter users that were doing that as well. So in response to this, several large ad agencies and brands, including General Motors and Volkswagen, paused their ad spending on Twitter. And Musk said that Twitter was on track to post $3 billion in revenue in 2023, which was already down from the 5.1 from 2021 when it was a public company, so he was hoping for something. But he's still upset, and it's always someone else's fault. We know how conservatives think on those lines. But this is what the ADL told the Daily Beast about Musk's accusations. In a statement to the Daily Beast, a spokesperson for the ADL said it was unsurprised yet undeterred that anti-Semites, white supremacists, conspiracy theorists, and other trolls have launched a coordinated attack on our organization. The statement has continued, this type of thing is nothing new. This onslaught comes following our participation in the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, where ADL proudly marched shoulder to shoulder with African-American leaders and those from other minority communities. Nothing says hate like marching for people's human rights. But again, we're in an upside down world.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.